Hello, dear friends. Today I want to take you on a special journey. It's the true story of a woman who was more than a princess. She was kind. She was strong. She was loved by millions of people around the world. Her name was Princess Diana, but many people called her the People's Princess. Diana's life was like a movie. It was full of love, pain, dreams, betrayal, kindness, and a sad ending. She was born into a rich family. She became part of the royal family. Many people thought she had a perfect life, but behind her beautiful smile, she was often lonely and hurt. In this story, we will follow her journey, from her childhood to her marriage with Prince Charles, from being a loving mother to her divorce and freedom, and finally to the tragic night in Paris that shocked the world. This story is written in simple English, so you can enjoy and learn at the same time. And if you enjoy this story, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Now, are you ready to begin? Let's go back to the year 1961, when a star named Diana was born in England. Diana Frances Spencer. Diana Frances Spencer was born on July 1st, 1961, in Norfolk, England. She was born into a rich and noble family called the Spencer family. Her father was John Spencer, also known as Viscount Althorp, and her mother was Frances Roach. Diana was the fourth child in the family. She had two older sisters, Sarah and Jane, and one younger brother, Charles. Her family was close to the British royal family. Even as a child, Diana sometimes played with Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, the younger sons of Queen Elizabeth II. Diana grew up at a big and beautiful house called Park House near the royal estate of Sandringham. Her childhood should have been happy, but it was not easy. Her parents often argued, and when Diana was just 6 years old, her mother left the family. This was a very painful time for little Diana. She loved both of her parents, but now she had to choose where to live. Finally, her father won full custody, and Diana lived with him and her siblings. After the divorce, Diana became very quiet and sensitive. She was kind, polite, and shy. She didn't like to talk too much, but she had a big heart. She often cared for animals and helped others, even when she was very young. She started school at Silfield School and later moved to a boarding school called Riddlesworth Hall School. Later, she joined West Heath Girls' School, where her teachers described her as a loving and kind girl. She wasn't the best student in the class, but she was always helpful and friendly. In 1975, something big happened. Her grandfather died, and her father became Earl Spencer. This meant Diana became Lady Diana Spencer. Now she was officially part of British nobility. Diana was always interested in children and helping people. She dreamed of becoming a ballet dancer, but she grew too tall for that. She also loved music, dancing, and spending time with her friends. Even as a teenager, she was different from others. While many girls wanted fame and fun, Diana wanted love, kindness, and meaning. When she was 16, she met Prince Charles for the first time. He was much older than her, about 13 years older. At that time, he was dating her older sister Sarah. So Diana didn't think much of him. But fate had other plans. By the age of 18, Diana moved to London. She shared an apartment with her friends and worked as a nanny and a preschool assistant. She loved spending time with little children and making them smile. Even though she was now Lady Diana, she lived a simple life. She took the bus, cooked for herself, and cleaned her room. No one knew that soon she would become one of the most famous women in the world. In these early years, Diana built her strong values. She believed in kindness, love, and helping others. These values stayed with her forever, even when she became a princess. This was just the beginning of Diana's amazing and emotional journey. After finishing school, Diana moved to London. She was only 18 years old. She lived in an apartment with 3 of her friends. Even though she was from a rich and noble family, Diana lived a simple and normal life. She cooked her own food, did the cleaning, and took the bus or walked like regular people. She loved music, especially pop songs from the 1980s, and she enjoyed dancing and reading romantic books. Diana didn't go to university, but she wanted to work and be independent. She first worked as a dance instructor for young children. Later, she became a nanny and then a preschool assistant at the Young England Kindergarten in London. Diana truly loved working with children. She was gentle, playful, and patient. The kids adored her. Many people who saw her at that time said she had a natural talent for making people feel safe and loved. Meanwhile, Prince Charles, the first son of Queen Elizabeth II and the future King of England, was 32 years old. He was under pressure to get married. The royal family and the media were both waiting for him to choose a bride. He had dated many women before, but none of them were considered perfect for the royal role. In the summer of 1980, Prince Charles and Diana met again at a friend's house. This time, something changed. Charles noticed how sweet, calm, and innocent Diana was. She was beautiful, but also shy and kind. Very soon, they started seeing each other more often. The media quickly discovered their secret meetings. Paparazzi started to follow Diana everywhere. Cameras were outside her home, outside her job, and even followed her when she went shopping. This was very difficult for her. She had never experienced that kind of attention before. But Diana smiled through it all. She didn't complain. She stayed quiet, polite, and graceful. People began to love her even before she became a princess. And on February 24th, 1981, something magical happened. Prince Charles officially proposed to Diana at Windsor Castle. He gave her a beautiful ring with a blue sapphire stone surrounded by diamonds. That ring later became famous. It was the same ring Prince William gave to Kate Middleton many years later. Diana said yes, and the engagement was announced. Suddenly, Diana was no longer just a preschool assistant. She was the future Princess of Wales. The world went crazy. Newspapers, TV shows, and people everywhere talked about Diana. Some called her a fairy tale princess. She was young, elegant, and full of charm. Her smile won hearts across the globe. But behind the scenes, things were not so perfect. Diana later said she felt nervous and unsure about the marriage. She was only 19. Charles was 32 and came from a completely different world. Even worse, Diana felt that Charles was still emotionally connected to another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles. Despite these feelings, the wedding plans continued. Diana had to prepare for royal life. She had lessons about how to speak in public, how to act in formal events, and how to follow all the royal rules. It was a big change for her. Finally, on July 29, 1981, the big day arrived. Diana and Charles got married at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Over 750 million people watched the wedding on TV around the world. Diana wore a stunning white dress with a 25-foot-long train. The world saw it as a dream wedding. She looked like a princess from a storybook. People cheered, flags waved. It was one of the most watched events in history. Diana became Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales. But deep in her heart, she still had many fears and questions. She entered a new world full of rules, responsibilities, and cameras. From this day on, Diana's life would never be the same. After her wedding in 1981, Diana officially became Princess of Wales. Millions of people saw her as lucky, the girl who married a prince and became a real-life princess. But very quickly, Diana found out that royal life was not a fairy tale. At just 20 years old, she moved into Kensington Palace and became part of the royal family. Now, everything in her life had rules: how to dress, how to wave, how to talk, even how to walk. She had to smile all the time, attend formal events, and deal with hundreds of photographers wherever she went. On the outside, Diana looked confident and beautiful, but inside, she felt lonely and sad. Her marriage with Prince Charles was not going well. Diana tried hard to build a good relationship with him, but he was cold and distant. He often talked to his old friend Camilla Parker Bowles, which made Diana feel unwanted and heartbroken. Diana later said she cried many nights alone. She suffered from a serious condition called bulimia, an eating disorder. She would eat a lot of food and then make herself vomit to feel better. It was a way to deal with the emotional pain. She also battled depression, but at that time, no one in the palace really helped her. Mental health was not discussed openly back then. Despite these struggles, Diana did her best to fulfill her royal duties. She visited hospitals, schools, charities, and places where people needed help. Wherever she went, people loved her. She shook hands with people, hugged them, and looked them in the eyes. That was very unusual for a royal. Most royals were distant, but Diana was different. She was human, and that's why the world loved her. In 1982, Diana gave birth to her first son, Prince William. 2 years later, in 1984, she gave birth to her second son, Prince Harry. She loved her children more than anything. She wanted them to grow up with love, freedom, and kindness. Even though they were princes, she took them to fast food places, amusement parks, and even walked them to school herself. Diana wanted William and Harry to know the real world, not just the life inside the palace. But while she was a great mother, her marriage was getting worse. Prince Charles and Camilla continued to meet. Diana knew this. She felt betrayed and unloved. The royal family didn't support her emotionally. She said later in interviews, "There were 3 of us in this marriage," talking about Charles, Camilla, and herself. In public, she still smiled and did her job. But in private, Diana was breaking. She started speaking to close friends about how unhappy she was. In 1992, the truth finally came out. A book titled Diana, Her True Story was published. It shared her pain, her depression, her eating disorder, and her broken marriage. The book shocked the world. That same year, Charles and Diana officially separated. They were still married, but no longer lived together. In 1995, Diana gave a famous TV interview with BBC Panorama. Millions watched as she opened her heart to the world. She admitted she had struggled with mental health. She talked about how lonely and sad she had felt. She even said, "I don't think I'll ever be queen, but I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts." That sentence touched millions. Diana had no power in the royal system, but she had the love of the people. In 1996, Diana and Charles officially divorced. She lost the title Her Royal Highness, but she was still the Princess of Wales. Most importantly, she remained close to her children and continued to do charity work. Now, Diana was free. She was no longer tied to royal rules. She began living her life the way she wanted. She visited countries in Africa to help children with AIDS. She went to Bosnia to help victims of landmines. She hugged people with diseases that others were afraid of. In those days, many people were scared of touching AIDS patients, but Diana held their hands, proving that kindness is stronger than fear. Diana was more than just a princess. She was becoming a global icon of love, care, and courage. But even in freedom, the paparazzi never left her alone. Wherever she went, they followed. When she went shopping, when she was on holiday, even when she was spending time with her new boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, they were always there, taking photos, shouting questions, chasing her. The pressure never ended, but Diana kept going. She said that if she could make even one person feel loved and seen, then her life had meaning. In the summer of 1997, Princess Diana was starting a new chapter of her life. She was no longer part of the royal family, but she had more freedom. She used this freedom to help others. She worked with charities, visited poor countries, and continued to speak about important issues like HIV/AIDS, mental health, and landmines. She became even more popular than before. The media followed her everywhere. Paparazzi were always taking pictures of her, trying to sell them to magazines and newspapers. She often said she felt like a prisoner of fame. Even though she was no longer a royal, she was still the most photographed woman in the world. In July 1997, Diana went on a holiday with her new friend and romantic partner, Dodi Al-Fayed, the son of a wealthy Egyptian businessman. They traveled together on his private yacht in the Mediterranean Sea. Paparazzi followed them from place to place, snapping photos constantly. By the end of August, Diana and Dodi went to Paris. On the night of August 30th, they had dinner at the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's father. Late at night, they tried to leave the hotel secretly to avoid the paparazzi, but the photographers had already discovered them. Their driver, Henri Paul, drove the car fast through the streets of Paris, trying to escape the chasing motorcycles. Around midnight, the car entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. What happened next changed the world forever. At 12:23 a.m. on August 31st, 1997, the car crashed into a pillar inside the tunnel. Dodi and the driver died immediately. Diana was still alive, but badly injured. She was taken to the hospital, but despite doctors' efforts, she was pronounced dead at 4 a.m. She was only 36 years old. The news of Diana's death shocked the entire world. People couldn't believe it. How could the people's princess be gone? Millions of people started gathering outside Kensington Palace. They brought flowers, candles, cards, and photos. Soon, there were mountains of flowers in front of the gates. People cried in the streets. They sang songs and said prayers. Some people were angry at the royal family because they stayed silent for a few days. They wanted Queen Elizabeth to say something, to show her heart. Finally, the Queen gave a live speech. She said Diana was a wonderful mother, a kind person, and someone who would never be forgotten. On September 6, 1997, Princess Diana's funeral was held in London. Over 2.5 billion people around the world watched it on TV. Prince William and Prince Harry, both young boys, walked behind their mother's coffin with their father, Prince Charles, and Diana's brother, Earl Spencer. It was one of the saddest days in modern history. The world didn't just lose a princess, they lost a symbol of kindness. After her death, many people began to speak more openly about mental health, eating disorders, and the power of compassion. Diana had started something, and even though she was gone, her message lived on. Today, many of the charities Diana supported are still active. Her sons, William and Harry, have continued her work. They speak about mental health, support children's hospitals, and fight for causes their mother believed in. Harry even said in an interview, "She may be gone, but her light still shines in everything we do." Princess Diana was not perfect. She made mistakes, just like all of us. But what made her special was her heart. She cared deeply for people. She used her fame to bring attention to those who were forgotten by society. She was brave enough to touch people that others were afraid to touch. She was strong enough to speak about pain that others kept silent. And she was kind enough to show love when others stayed distant. People called her the people's princess, not because of her royal blood, but because of her humanity. Even now, years after her death, her story continues to inspire. Movies, documentaries, books, and songs have been made about her. New generations learn about Diana and admire her courage, beauty, and heart. She once said, "Carry out a random act of kindness with no expectation of reward, safe in the knowledge that one day someone might do the same for you." And maybe that's what Diana wanted the most, a kinder world. Dear viewer, if Diana's story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Let her legacy live through you. Be kind. Help others. Speak your truth even when it's hard. And never forget that even one small act of compassion can change the world for someone. If you learned something today or felt inspired, like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. There are more inspiring stories coming. Simple, powerful, and made just for you, our amazing language learners. Together, let's grow in English and in heart.